motion to accept the agenda as presented? Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. All right, motion carries unanimously. Next is the approval of the minutes from our June regular meeting and 2 called meetings in July. Do I have a motion to accept all the meeting minutes as presented? Do I have a second?
I second.
Any discussion? All right, with no further discussion, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have the board comments. We're excited to still be in summer, and we're looking a little excited and a little sad towards the new school year. But thank y'all for coming tonight. And now I'll turn it over to Superintendent Hoover.
Thank you, Chair Morris. We are already ready for school. We've got a few last minute items that we're working on to have the building once ready. But one of the things that always helps us to kick off a great year is the back to school celebration. We appreciate the work that the city and the Main Street community do in coordinating this effort that helps to get everybody understanding that school's about to start. It's going to be held on July 26th from 6 to 8 p.m. here in our activity center. Our principals, teachers, and district staff are going to be very excited to see everyone, and they'll be there to answer any questions that anyone may have about the upcoming school year that begins on Thursday, August 1st. We also have that next week, open house. We're holding it on Tuesday, July 30th on all campuses. Families have shared that they appreciate our schools working together to have in one day, and as usual, we have a staggered schedule in order to be able to accommodate our families who have students on multiple campuses. In an effort to assist families with the required census verification process, we will have computers available and staff to assist with uploading the required documentation. Families can bring their mortgage or rental agreement, a utility or property tax statement, or if applicable, a residency affidavit can be completed and uploaded. The census verification requirement is new this year, and is the district's effort to ensure that we have the most accurate information on file for each student. Completion is required before Infinite Campus can be accessed or a student scheduled to be released. We also we have mentioned this at our June meeting. We appreciate the board approving our participation in the Community Eligibility Provision Program for the upcoming school year. This program allows us to provide healthy, delicious meals for both breakfast and lunch to all of our students without the need for individual meal applications. We know that students who have access to regular, nutritious meals perform better academically and have better attendance rates. And we're grateful to provide this opportunity for the families in our district. We know that all of our families could use a little bit of relief in these tough financial times, and we appreciate the support that we have from the federal government to be able to make this happen. I also want to provide a facilities update. And as Ms. Willis brings that up, I toured the new elementary school site with our construction management superintendent today, and I'm pleased to report that we continue to be ahead of schedule on the overall project. The last section of the foundation was poured early this morning, and the steel beams are beginning to be erected. The company does not anticipate a need for further blasting, which will help to keep costs down for the project. There's a lot of steel on that site now, and the foundation is huge, so really excited. We have also participated in other summer projects that have included renovations, and Ms. Willis has photographs of several of the examples. We're excited for our middle and high school students to see these renovations that we have been working on while they're enjoying their summer break. All of our student bathrooms in the middle and high school building are being updated with new lighting, matching sink faucets, new flooring, mirrors, toilet seats, ceiling tiles, and partitions. Additionally, this activity center will be painted this weekend. Many of the exterior doors have been painted all around the middle and high school facilities. And another opportunity, I apologize for struggling with that one, has to do with our concrete walkway that's been poured for our students who have class that's out in our learning cottages. We were very excited to add the learning cottages, and when we originally did, we thought to put in one walkway. And then the students made it really clear that they needed to be able to walk out on the other side as well. So they were either going to kill the grass or we were going to come up with a solution. So Ms. Cross and Mr. Morgan and our facilities team put together a plan for that. And it's been poured, and we know that our high school students are really going to appreciate that. All of these improvements are a testament of our commitment to our current strategic plan, specifically in the areas of safety and culture of well-being, as well as systems and operational effectiveness. And another brief update that I'd like to share. With our volleyball and our football camps finishing up this week, we were really pleased to have a total of 358 participants in this summer's student-athlete camps. With a multitude of camps offered, our athletic department provided great opportunities for children in our community to have a fun experience while learning and developing sport-specific skills and skills that are articulated in our portrait of a graduate, including compassionate communication, creative problem solving, critical thinking, empathetic collaborating, and life-literate learning. We appreciate the commitment of our coaches and student athletes to help train the next generation of Redskins, and we appreciate the trust of our community members to allow us to work with your students even during the summer. One last update that I wanted to be able to provide is that our high school continues to be recognized for their great work to make improvements in their instruction in order to increase student engagement and provide more personalized learning experiences for our students. Mr. Armstrong, our high school principal, Ms. Parker Center, our curriculum AP, Ms. Tonto Donati, one of our social studies teachers at the high school, and Ms. Casey Wilkerson, one of our English teachers at the high school, as well as a recent graduate, were proud to share their work at the Georgia Educational Leaders Association annual conference on Jekyll Island this week. They received rave reviews from the participants who indicated that they could certainly use the practices presented in their home districts. I was very proud of their demonstration of our dedication to provide every student with the knowledge and skills needed to become mindful, productive, and empowered citizens. Thank you, Ms. Willis. And next, I would like to invite Chief Guest and Ryan Moore up to the podium. The board had some questions about a speed enforcement program, and these gentlemen are here to respond to our questions and just give us additional information about this program.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate the opportunity to come talk to you all once again about the program that we have. I'm going to brought in Ryan Moore here, actually, from the company, to actually answer probably some more technical questions that you guys had. I know that you had sent us 5 questions, and I'm going to answer a couple of them, but I'm going to let Ryan answer the more technical ones first. That way, if you guys have some more questions, you can just ask him directly. I mean, it's right from the vendor, so it's literally right from the horse's mouth. So, Ryan?
Thank you, everyone, for having me here. My name is Ryan Moore. I'm with my associate county. My background is in law. I was a traffic officer. Been with the company for 4 years. We did a speed study on both of the, in front of this school and also in front of our elementary school. So the first question, will the cameras be installed simultaneously? The answer is no. They will go very first, since you're building a new school there. Through the permitting process to GDOT, it takes, we waited all the permits until this school was ready to move to the other side. Is that on a state road?
Yes, it is.
You live?
Yes, sir.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
At least I'm not sure that that one's on. Thank you for checking. Thank you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. So would you mind starting over with that answer, with the question being, could all,
So,
be it all sites simultaneously?
No. This will go first because the new school will be built in a different location with a permitting process through the state that we have nothing to do with. We have to follow the state guidelines. These will be installed. And when the new school is built, that's when the cameras will be. We'll have to get, I don't know if Chief has got a radar permit for that road yet, but it'll have to be deemed a school zone through the state of Georgia before you can do it.
And we're working on that process.
Yes,
It will be deemed a school zone certainly before fall of '25.
but they won't be put up simultaneously because the permitting process takes so long. These will be, on this street, Alcova Road, this will be the first one. Any questions? Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so what would that process, that timeline look like? So we would open the new school in fall of '25. Would it be an additional 18 months from when that school's open to when you can install them?
No, we have to go by Georgia Department of Transportation, what they determine. We have nothing to do with the permitting process. We have to go through GDOT for that.
So really, once that's deemed a school zone,
Then, once it's deemed a school zone and it has a radar permit saying it is a school zone, then that's when the construction, we can start applying for permits at that point. That's right.
So it wouldn't have to be when the school's open, it'd be when it's designated a school zone, and then you have the radar application, okay.
Permits, yes. Number two, if there's no effect on drivers' record and insurance, why do you feel cameras alone persuade them not to go through the school zone? That's a great question.
Could you read that one out loud again? We don't have the questions in front of us, sorry.
Okay, sorry. If there is no effect to driver's record or insurance, why do you feel cameras alone will persuade them not to speed through the school zone? Okay, so in the state of Georgia last year, and we have Savannah is one of our biggest cities, all the way to Ringo, where they have one school zone. We have South Fulton. We cut speeding down 94.9% through all of our school zones. So we do a big public information and education push, right? Then there's a warning sign, your speed is, that's most important. That's not state law, but we do that because we're all former police officers. You'll have your flashing lights, photo enforced, and a radar feedback sign that tells you what your speed is before you go in there. Then the first 30 days is a warning citation. Everybody that's doing 11 miles an hour will get a citation and that says a warning. Then after that, it's when the hard tickets. So financial, the way state law 40-14-18 written through the Georgia Code, it is a civil issue. You have 60 days to pay the citation. If you do not, we will send you out another warning, and it will go to, if you don't respond in that 5 days, you go to Department of Revenue. You cannot renew your tags. GDOR will put a hold on your tags and your title. Still a civil issue, nothing on your insurance, nothing on your driver record. The whole premise of the program is to change the driver's behavior, right? We have some schools in two school zones, I can, off the top of my head, in Shreveport, Louisiana, they don't write tickets anymore. That's successful. That's the name of the game, is to take care of the students. Any questions? Excuse me?
yes, how much are the fines?
They're $100.
And when would the fines begin? You said there's a period of warning, and then there's a period of warning citations.
Right. We usually will do, depends on how much PIE that you guys want to do. We have our marketing, internal marketing, public information. We can send stuff home with the kids through school, the bus shed, the utilities through the city. So you can do 4 weeks of that before the 30-day warning period. So you've got 2 months to get everybody. Plus the signs, it's kind of strange, but in Saudi Daisy, which is in Hamilton County, which butts up to Chattanooga, where I live at, we did 6 school zones there. And we put all the infrastructure up, and the armadillos that we did to use the speed study here in front of both schools, I went and put those back up. Nobody knew if the cameras were on or not. They weren't on, just all the infrastructure. And before we even turned it on for the warning period, we got the speeding down to 87%. So it's just the stuff being there that we want to slow the kids down. In this school zone here, you had in a week's time, there was 2,867 cars doing at least 11 miles an hour over through the school zone. So. I think that's answered 3.
As far as cutting,
Yeah.
see if I can get I'm probably loud enough, hopefully I don't need the microphone. The third question we had was, with school safety being first and foremost, what other advantages do you feel the cameras will provide? They're several-fold. I don't know if you guys remember or not, but just right down on Cova, we had a young gentleman and some friends that decided they wanted to blow up some mailboxes with some improvised explosive devices. We don't have flock cameras throughout the city right now, so if we would have had...
Could you explain flock?
They're stationary cameras that we call LPRs, license plate readers. So we normally, we have 13 of them around the city from the county. We're getting to the point where we will be able to hopefully afford some of those in the city. But absence of those, had these been in place, we would have been able to solve that within hours instead of days, because we would have gotten a picture of the license plate as they came through Social Circle. So those cameras do provide other benefits other than just reducing speed, because they're on all the time. Now there's an enforcement zone that they actually apply. Okay, it goes through your speeding, it says, okay, you're speeding, and we're going to send a citation out. But they're running all the time. So even if somebody comes through there during a non-enforcement time and they're speeding, it still takes a picture of that, and we're still able to draw that down at the police department. And with the drag marks that they left from the gentleman's residence down here, I'm fairly confident they would have been on one of our videos when they came through. So again, we could have been able to solve that. We actually had 8 different agencies from the ATF down working on that particular case. Was the only reason why we solved it as fast as we did was because we all jumped on, and then Walton County started piecing together the locations out there with their flock cameras, and it just all tied it together. But again, we would have the opportunity to go ahead and knock it out of the park right at the beginning with its sideline benefit of it. Are there any monetary benefits to the school? Perfect question, absolutely. And let me kind of explain it this way. The way the money goes in, the revenue goes in, it goes into the general fund. It has to be designated just for public safety. As you guys know, we give up 2 police officers to be school resource officers here, and we are very, very proud to do so. I personally, Nicole and I were just talking the other day, this is Social Circle. I want Social Circle police officers in our schools. No offense to Walton County, they do a wonderful job of what they do, but I think that our officers should serve our citizens and our students. This year, because of the offset, there's a $23,000 gap between what we're asking the school to pay and what I'm going to wind up picking. It was important enough to me and the city for me to assume that $23,000 loss, for me to pay that just so we can keep our police officers here. Just taking the latest guy that's going to be here, Kevin Spivey, just taking him from a road position where the uniform that he normally wears, and then outfitting him as a school resource officer, that was $1,000. And if it had been somebody that we hired outside to come in as a brand new person, it would have been close to about $5,500 without the radio and things of that nature. It also will help us pay for not only equipment, but training, our vehicles. A portion of that will go there. we came and talked to the Dr. Brewer earlier about vehicles. Our vehicles run about $87,000 for the outfitted. And, you know, we have the reason why the SEAL resource officers have the exact same thing we do, is they have to transport people, they have to arrest people just like everybody else. So it's not like we can get down something lesser than what we have the other officers driving. So absolutely, it will help us offset and defer costs that we have, so that maybe next time we sit down and we negotiate our SRO contract, there might be something that now that I'm freed up in my budget that I don't have to spend money on, that we can actually whittle away at what we're asking the school to pay for us on the SROs. More importantly, it's a symbiotic relationship between us and the schools in the community. Just right out here, you know, we have Laurel Oaks, and we have Jubilee, we have some other neighborhoods down the road. The very first thing, I've already told everybody, and I'll say it again, the first thing we want to purchase with that money is we want to have these solar-powered crosswalks out here. But we're also going to pay for the thermoplastic paint that goes down. It's actually a specialty paint that you have to use. And I didn't realize how expensive that was until I talked to Miss Robbie about putting that stuff down. She goes, I'd love to, but it's not in the budget. Beautiful. There's something we can probably take out of here, and we can do that and make our crosswalks safe. It's things of those natures. I believe some of the schools have also used their partnership, and they bought lamination for the schools that help with IED explosions. They put a laminate on the windows, and it mitigates a blast explosion. And they put it on the entire school. So there is a number of things that we can sit down and we can talk about and go, okay, we have this pot of money, what would we like to do with it? And again, that's got to be a symbiotic relationship between both of us, because this is the school zone, it creates a certain portion of revenue. And I know everybody kind of gets wrapped around the revenue portion, and we're looking for compliance. Let me touch on that just really quick. Going back to what Ryan said, we're looking at a 24 to 36 month window to where we have 97% compliance, which is what we want to do. So whatever revenue we get from this, whether it's $200 or $2,000 a month, it won't be that way for very long if we get to the point where we want to be. And the other thing it allows me to do is I'm 5 officers short right now. And getting up 2 police officers to come and do the school resource officer program is a big ask. But again, because we're so committed to it, we're happy to do it, so the other officers on the road have to pick up that slack. But we're committed to doing that, and it helps us offset personnel-wise. That means I don't have to have another officer sitting in these school zones running radar, running speed stuff, when I can use technology to do it. So it helps me out manpower-wise as well. Hopefully I've answered that one. Do you have any questions on that one? Okay, last one. If a driver does not pay the speeding fine, is there anything that can be done about that legally? I think Ryan touched on that earlier. I've been in Morrow where they have someone else, and I've actually been at the police department where people came in and said, hey, I can't register my vehicle. And we pulled them up in the computer. That's because you have a dozen fines, you know, from blowing through the school zones back there. And I can also tell you, go back to number 2, is there no effect to a driver record insurance? Why do you feel speed cameras alone will persuade them not to speed through the school zone? Let me go ahead and give you my wife's phone number. She can tell you why it definitely slowed her down. Twice, my wife went through Gwinnett High School's speed zone up there, taking one of our animals to the vet, and trust me, she doesn't speed through there anymore. Didn't take it once, took it twice, but she learned her lesson. It's a little expensive. But it does defer that. But again, it goes back to what we're talking about doing. We're not trying to hurt anybody. We're trying to get compliance. We're trying to create a safe zone for our students and our faculty and the people who travel through here. That's our number one. All right. I think I probably talked you guys to death. So if there are any questions at all that we can answer. Okay. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us.
And I'm going to go ahead. Ryan's too polite to do this, but he had a rather salty meal, so he's having a little trouble. He went to 10 plate and actually got a little salty. So he's trying not to talk here as much as he normally does.
That's not, he's making it up.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Chief Guest and Mr. Ward. We appreciate you coming and spending your time to share more information about the program with our community. At this time, we'll have a short break before entering into the business portion of our meeting.
2024 financial report. So we are 92% through the fiscal year. In the general fund, we have received 95% of general fund budgeted revenues, and we have spent 94% of general fund budgeted expenditures. Currently, revenues exceed expenditures by a little over $189,000. Encumbrances for the general fund total $420,000. Next is our special revenue funds. This year, we received right over $2 million for our grants. We have currently spent 73% of these. And remember, our federal grants actually extend through the end of August. Next, we have our school food service fund. We are at 90% of budgeted revenues and 101% of budgeted expenditures. The school nutrition director and I are meeting to finalize the final year. We'll have a budget update and a final number for you with the June financial. But we served 29,665 meals in May. This is a 9.7% increase over the prior year. And lastly, we have our SPLOST fund. SPLOST collections in May totaled $208,000 from Walton County and $2,900 from Newton County. So this was a 4% increase for Walton and a 6% increase for Newton. The cash balance in our SPLOST fund is right at $4.8 million. We still have the $13.4 million in our Go Bond account. And the encumbrances for the SPLOST fund total right over $30 million. And of course, most of this relates to the construction of the elementary school. Are there any questions about our May financials?
I have just one question on the free lunch. How much increase you think we will have in participation next year?
In school nutrition? We're banking on a lot of participation. Our director and principals and administrators have met on how we can get these breakfasts and lunches in the hands of all of our students. And that's our goal. Our participation already has increased significantly over the last couple of years. But free meals, especially, as parents, if the meal is free and they taste good, you're not looking at, some of those lunches you and I might think about. They actually taste great. And so we will have, I think, increased participation. We are banking on at least an additional 10% increase in participation. We'll still have, for all of the parents here, we'll still have all of our additional sides available, our cookies, our ice cream, snacks, and drinks. That is a huge moneymaker for our program, so we will extend that as well. So we're hoping parents will sink a little bit of additional money into that as well. Any other questions?
All right, do I have a motion to approve the May financial report as presented? Do I have a second? Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Anyone opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.
So next we'll have our update on the construction of the elementary school. So your financials are through May because it takes us a little longer to close out our finances for the month, but the construction I'm trying to do as up to date as possible. So this is through the end of June. So our total construction cost payments to Carol Daniel so far are right over $4.3 million. So this is about 13% of our way through the contract. Our architect fees are almost completely funded. Most of this architect working alongside our construction contractor to finish out some of those types of things. So we have a balance of about $30.7 million remaining on our contract. And the next section is the funding that we have available. We still are at $10.4 million on our Go Bond. The state reimbursement, I am waiting patiently on them to release that information. They say the end of July, 1st of August. Until they release that information to me, I cannot apply for reimbursement. So as soon as I get that, I will submit all my reimbursements to them. But there in that bucket, we have about $18.6 million. And then the SPLOST funds, most of the architect fees we're paying out of the SPLOST funds right now. We will have furniture and fixtures and some technology, which we're working on right now. And as soon as we have some of those final numbers, we've had some initial meetings with those suppliers, but we'll update those numbers to you as well. So total payments made so far is right at $5.2 million. Are there any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Cross. Do I have a motion to approve ABM's contract as presented?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have an action item to approve the Georgia Network for Education and Therapeutic Support Lighthouse MOU for Student Services. Do I have a motion to approve this MOU as presented? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, please say aye. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have an action item to approve the fiscal year 25 Georgia College Advising Corps MOU for a college advisor to serve our high school. Do I have a motion to approve this MOU as presented? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Next, we have an action item to approve a personnel recommendation from our superintendent. For certified staff, we have the following recommendation: the resignation of Jeremy Brad Callahan, teacher at Social Circle High School. Do I have a motion to approve this recommendation from our superintendent? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. For classified staff, we have the following recommendations: the new hire Elizabeth Wood as a bus driver for SCCS, resignation of Jessica McDowell, cafeteria manager at middle school, high school, and retirees Jerry Barrett and Alma Hayes as bus drivers. Do I have a motion to approve these recommendations from our superintendent?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. For substitute teachers, we have the following recommendations: Chad McGuire, Brian Brewer, Samantha Irvin, Anna McCart, Amy Harms, Judith Manning, Sarah Owens, Hillary Kahn, Leslie Green, Cassandra Beasley, and Ashley Waldrop. Do I have a motion to approve these recommendations from our superintendent? Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously. Do I have a motion to adjourn our meeting? Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed, like sign. Motion carries unanimously.